welcome to the video. In this video, we'll look at what are what are some of the ways to create a function, why they are required, and we'll look at few examples where we will try to create simple function to gain better understanding. As we already know, there are a lot of functions already available in our example. Some examples are, let's say I want to calculate sum of a vector, want to calculate mean of a vector, and or if I want to calculate the length of the vector. But let's say there are certain conditions where these inbuilt functions are not sufficient. Let's say I want to do certain functionality that is outside the scope, and I want to create function that meets a certain specific requirement. So in that case, we'll create a user defined function. Um, in this video, we'll look at how to create a user defined function. We'll look at very basic examples to gain better proof of concept. So ways to create a function in R is, a simple syntax is, you name a function and then you basically follow it up with a function keyword where you give what argument is it going to take, and then you basically specify what exactly is it going to do with the arguments, and ultimately after execution what exactly it is going to return. Now, having said that, let's look at how to calculate the product of two numbers. Let's create a function that calculates the product of two numbers. So I've basically given a function name which is func of product. You can give anything. You can give any valid function name, and then let's say since I'm calculating the product of two numbers, it is going to take two values or two variables as an argument. I have given x and y. You can give a and b, a1, a2, and so on, anything of your liking. Once I basically declare these arguments, then I have to mention what exactly I'm going to do with these arguments. Here I'm going to multiply them, store, assign them to z, and then I'm basically going to return z. If I execute this, I've created a function. Now I basically run this on 2 and 3. It is going to give me 6. If I run it on 2 and 7, it is going to give me 14. Now it is a very basic example. Now let's look at a little more complex type of example. Let's say I declare a vector s. Now if you see s is a vector. As we can see that the vector s has some elements which are na. As you can see, if I execute s, it has an na at the fifth position. So what we are going to do is, let's create a function that can remove na. So currently, let's try and create that function. Let's give it a function name, an appropriate function name. You can give whatever function name of your liking. Then just supply the keyword function. So supplying the keyword function is very important, and it is uh, required to be added. You cannot work around without specifying this in your function. Now this function will, since we are removing an na from a vector, so it will receive a single argument. You can have x, you can have y, you can have anything. Now once that vector is received to the function, what we will do, let's say to give you more understanding of how exactly this is done, let me assign x to x. Now first what we will do, we'll see what are the position where x is, where it doesn't have an na. So other places, so basically there is only one place where there is an na, which is false. So basically true means positions where there is not an na, and false means position where there is an na. Once we have got this vector, we will then use it in an index kind of setup where I have x. Now I want to only get to those values where there is not an na. See, basically there is no na here, so I will assign it to y, and then that will be returned out of the function output. If I do this, if I now run it on s, so basically you see initially we had na at the fifth position. Now currently there is no na. Now instead of removing NA, I just want to basically replace it with 0 within a vector. So I will assign again a vector S. Now let's say X is already S. So we had assigned X as the vector S. So just to remove confusion, let's do one thing. Let's create a function with Y as an argument. So let's say now I assign Y to S. So first I will get to the position where there is an NA. So basically if there is NA at the fifth position, so I will get this logical vector, and basically at that particular point where POS is true, POS is true is the value at which POS is true is NA. So I will assign that particular value to 0, and then once that is done I will return Y. We'll execute this function. So you see basically the thing is we had NA initially in S, now instead of that we have 0. So it is a better function. It is a good function to use. Now let's come to an even more complicated kind of function. Let's see if we want let's let's say we want to list out all the functions, all the files within my current working directory. So my current working directory is basically documents. Now let's say I want to list all the files that has a CSV name within them, or to be more specific, let's say .csv. So it will list out all the files that have CSV files within CSV file names within them. So there are currently 4 files. So let's create a function that can provided a given working directory or a folder name, it can basically read all the CSV files within that. So let's create that function. So what essentially the function will take as an input, it will take the path location or working directory. Let's say your X is your working directory. Okay, so let me assign X to the current working directory, and I want to basically read the files with the .csv pattern. Again, let's say this particular statement will give me all the files in my current working directory with the .csv file name. I will assign it to csv.files, and then I will initialize a list because I have to basically store these elements. After reading something, I have to store it into something, right? And since there are multiple files in place now, so we will store it in a list. Now for all the files that are there in csv.files vector, I will loop through them in a for loop, and then I will read them using a CSV file. So what it will do, it will basically, so this is basically my working directory, and let's say, just to explain, let's say my I is, now the thing is, what will this give? So this paste will give me nothing but the exact file location in that particular folder along with the file name. And once I specify this, I would be able to read this. So similarly, I will take on other values, and this particular string will be calculated for each file. Let's run this. So now if you see, if I just tell you, see, war breaks file is present, zip code is present, str underscore data underscore set is present, and panel data set is present. Now having said that, let having explained you the structure of the entire function, let's create this function. So my main point of going within the function and basically running each line is, so there is no complexity around creating a function. Whatever you do, while writing a simple code, whatever you do, you just have to wrap it within within a particular function name argument, or within a particular syntax, and that with that way it is done. And then you have, at the end, you have to just properly set it up using a return statement. Let's say if I run it, So basically I've executed the function. Now let's say there is a Parag named folder within my folder path, and if I want to have all the CSV files stored within a list within the Parag folder, so I will just create that folder structure or create that path, and then I will give that path to this particular function. So if you see, where is L2? So L2 is this. Now let's say I want to see what is stored in L2. So there are only two files, warbreaks.csv and zipcode.csv. So so basically in this video we saw how we can, why it is necessary to create a function in the first place, and then we saw, how we can create a function using some simple examples all the way to a little moderate kind of examples, and then we created this read.csv, which is typically I can say is a complex type of function. So I hope this video gave you how to create a function and why is it necessary in the first place. In the next video we will look at how we can pass multiple arguments and how we can do that.